Hey everybody, Jason Burmis here. Sorry for that short delay, but here we go. So, first of all, I guess that the first thing that we're going to do is, again, we'll take all super chats. I'm going to try to go down the line with everybody, but there's a lot of news to get to and a lot of things we need to talk about. Now, as you guys know, if you watch my Corey Feldman video, I had thought that my teachers had tested positive for COVID-19. It turns out, not only did they not test positive yet, they haven't been tested at all. So here we go. And I contacted Jay Jarabek and his wife, Patty, and their younger son are currently at home precautionary quarantine. Now, what does that mean? It means that really nobody's been tested in the household as a carrier. So they're under a 14-day quarantine. Jay hasn't had contact with them and has just dropped off groceries. But from what I understand, the other thing, this is in Fulton County, New York, okay, that his son who came back from abroad at Italy, I don't think he had been tested either. So I don't know there's a positive test in the family because I don't think there's a test at all. Now, there's a lot of problems with that because obviously we want not only to know if somebody's a carrier, right? Because it seems like there's a 100% infection rate when they're under the same household. But then we also want to know what the real mortality rate is. So I contacted him. They've been in self-quarantine for 7 days. So I said, if anything changes, please don't hesitate to reach out. And again, that just shows that this is going to touch lives like people have never expected. Now, the next big news that we have to go over is now we do have the National Guard being deployed for a containment area, which is not full quarantine. This is kind of soft military help getting you ready for what's coming. And a lot of people are still in disbelief, and they still don't understand what's coming. All right? So what I'm going to do, and he held a press conference yesterday, showing off the hand sanitizer that's made through the prison systems that I told you about earlier in the day. And one of the things I was going to play from the one yesterday, but then I got caught up in the whole Corey Feldman thing, was that he was talking about how this has probably been in New York for some time, maybe even months. And I've been telling you that. And that's a key point to all of this, because I don't think the mortality rate is high, but you can see now what the military reaction is going to be. But before we get there, we got a $20 super chat, so we will always take that. Love is a 4-letter word. Thanks for all the hard work you do, Jason. I know it's not much, but I hope it helps. It certainly does. Sending positive thoughts from California. Stay safe out there. Much respect, Jen C. Thank you so much, Jen. We really do appreciate that. And here's the next thing. Other than this, as you can see, it's going to be New York, Washington State, okay, California and Florida, where these type of things are going to be rolled out first. And it's going to be daily. They keep telling you, basically, they're telling you what the CDC, the WHO, and then the military industrial complex infrastructure is telling you. All right? And by the way, the markets just closed. We're going to see where they closed at as well. But let's play this right now.
New Rochelle is a particular problem.
Don't do this to me.
It is what they call a cluster. The numbers have been.
Jeez. Come on, man. Why is this every time I go live? Now, every time I go live, I can no longer play a video. I mean, this is ridiculous. Let's just do it like that. Come on. Thumbs this video up, subscribe, and share.
New Rochelle is a particular problem.
We'll just get it. Cuomo. We'll do it live. This is very frustrating. Cuomo. New Rochelle, New York. All right, let's go to videos. This is how I usually do my my thing, by the way, guys. Let's see if we can't find it. That's one day, 4 hours ago. Here we go. See if we can get this. See if this is enough. Nope. Continue without supporting. Oh, this is Wall Street employees testing positive for coronavirus again. So that's the video I'm getting? This is so frustrating. Because we really need to break this down, okay? 100% need to break this down. Post isn't going to let me do it either. Everybody's got a fucking paywall. Thumbs this video up, subscribe, and share, guys. We're going to get to it. Travel Fund, thanks for the hard work. I really appreciate that, Mr. Nicktown. And again, I'm going to get to as many of you as possible that are not just super chatters, because this is important. You can see my frustration right now. Here we go. Okay. 2 hours ago. Please tell me this is going to work. Come on, Low HUD, which seems to be a subsidiary of USA Today. Because the new National Guard is now being deployed. If you thought that wasn't going to happen, okay, we got the whole thing. This could be a longer broadcast than I thought, if we can get any of these videos going.
You know, it's the little things, like morning or afternoon, that we...
He's always trying to make jokes. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Can we get the news here again? No, we can't. All right, fine. We're gonna stop there. Here's the deal. There's a containment zone. It will be light martial law there. People that are under house quarantine and not able to go, get food or whatever, the National Guard's going to be there. But once it goes to hot quarantine and everybody that's non-essential, that's what's next, okay? That's what people don't understand. All schools are going to close throughout the country eventually. New York, Florida, Washington, California, watch the clusters. Mark Reap, thank you so much for that. And then this is Nick Waits. Check out cool Windows app called Tubed Logger. Super cheap and easy way to download vids. I need a good one like this, or FLVs can play back locally. I appreciate that. I do. So let's continue on. All right. So that's how it's going to start. So New York City, if you're in New York City, you're insane right now. Or in Long Island. They're shutting down every single event. Ireland. In fact, let's do that live. Ireland shut down St. Patrick's Day. I mean, do you get it? Does anybody get it yet? All right? If you don't think that that's a big deal, that everybody from Boston to Ireland has canceled St. Patrick's Day, if you think that everything's just going to be normal, that doesn't happen. Right? I know that drinkers and whatever, maybe that'll be enough impact for people to understand what an economic swing this is going to be. When Trump last night, again, held a press conference where there are now bills to pay people that are hourly wage. And since they're going to quarantine masses of us, where does that money come from? All this quantitative easing. It's to prop up the market. In fact, let's find out what the market did at the end of the day. It probably got propped up a little, right? Market, let's go. So how stocks are reacting to coronavirus, here it is. See, they put it back, they propped it back up a little bit. They propped it back up. Remember, they're cutting you slowly. All this is done slowly.
Okay, I like it.
So the economy is going to fold slowly. If you got stocks in your 401k, you've probably already lost probably lost 30 to 40% yesterday, but now it feels like 20 to 30%. It's going to be cyclic. It's going to continue like this. I hate to tell you that, but the supply chain is 100% broken. 100% broken. You need to understand that. All right? And I want to talk about some narratives that are being put out because I think that's important. At this point, speculating on where or why it came is almost moot, right? I think we need to focus again on treatment, on the differentiations. I can't even say it. The differences. I wanted to say differentiations of the two different strains that we're seeing, right? But now all we really have to go off of is every nation state that has this. It's not just China. Italy has locked down their country. Japan, no school. Saudi Arabia, no school. These lockdowns are real. When you see a westernized first world country like Italy on lockdown, like we're going to show you via Tucker Carlson, and we'll talk about him in a moment, it's worrisome. It's more than worrisome, okay? So thumbs this video up, guys. We're going to go pretty deep. Let's talk about the conspiracy theories that are flying around. All right, Uri Geller is talking about being a bioweapon by the Chinese MSS, Ministry of State Security, okay, and a botched pass-off, right? I mean, I guess let's just read it. Oh, I wrote this to a group of scientists in the U.S. Hi, all. Inside information. COVID-19 was created and manufactured by Chinese MSS while delivering... Oh, come on, guys. Come on. While delivering the virus to Iran for bacteriological warfare reasons, the virus accidentally transmitted to a human. This is the real story behind the pandemic. There is still controversy among American scientists whether the actual virus is derived from bats, snakes, or created in a lab. Wash your hands, don't shake hands, avoid large crowds, and pray that it will ebb away. And here's the key, and a vaccine will be found to destroy it. And by the way, he talks about how Israel's already working on a vaccine to save us all. Well, I'm not for medical tyranny. I don't like the idea that I would have to take a forced vaccination for anything, bioweapon or not. And so people know who Uri Geller is. Uri Geller's the spoon bender, but he also did work for the CIA, and then the CIA cut him off because he was doing work for the Mossad. Okay? You know, one way or another, this guy's, a secret agent and then a master of deception and illusion. So taking Uri Geller's word for it is another thing. The idea that this is to take down Trump's economy. No, this is a global economic reset. This is the predator class buying up infrastructure and taking out any idea of competition. And listen, if they want assassinations, right, now's the time. Anybody who gets this could be made an example of. So until, Trump's on his deathbed with this, I just can't entertain that ludicrousy, because it is ludicrous, because he is lying about all this. The economy, it isn't just Russia and Saudi Arabia fighting over the price of oil. That's definitely part of it, but it's the fact the supply chain is broken. And now this is going to keep going, all right? And again, if you see now we have Skidmore in New York closed. We have a separate teacher, I want to say that, in Fulton County, which is different, that has had huge contact with students. Again, they're not testing. We've talked about the positive tests from 3 to 4 weeks ago in Niagara Falls and Buffalo that are covered up. I got word yesterday they're covering up one in SUNY Potsdam. And that's because, again, the SUNY announcement is probably set to come Friday, Saturday latest, that at least this SUNY school and probably most SUNY schools are going to be shutting down. It's the more and more they can deploy infrastructure into New York at this point. All right? Them talking about the hotspot in New Rochelle. I mean, come on. Westchester County, we know Saratoga has it. That's where Skidmore is. We'll show you that right there. So they're already telling their kids not to come back. A lot of people want to act like I'm nuts that SUNY's not going to come back. Let me explain. Just even these small businesses, when I was running a bar here, all right, St. Patrick's Day weekend, and they have a thing called St. Oni's Day, we're like the big, I mean, we're talking about you could get a really, let's say, decent house in some places, the amount of money you kind of clear there. I'm not talking about a mansion, or I'm not talking about, living in Manhattan or yada, yada, yada. But you make a lot of money. That's devastating to local economies and a microcosm for what's actually going on. All right? So I'm hoping I can play Tucker Carlson and it doesn't just crap out 2 minutes in. But it might. So I warn you there. A lot of people have been giving me shit for posting that he's the most honest person in mainstream media. Too bad. And they want to call me controlled opposition because of it. I'm not a right-winger. I've never been a right-winger. He gained my respect when he not only started distancing himself from William Crystal and that school of thought, but then attacking them and talking about his mistakes in endorsing neocon policy and how he was wrong. See, people can admit they're wrong. It's a good thing. It's a good thing. And you can admit when you're wrong. And you can admit that there's a real world out there and people have souls. Just saying. And this is the guy that had Roger Waters on about Assange, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So he's being by far the most honest and frank with you in the mainstream media 100%. That's not any kind of debate. I want to make that abundantly clear.
The Chinese coronavirus epidemic turns out to be just that, an epidemic. There's no denying that now. According to the...
What is going on? You know what? I'm going to have to end this on Rockfin and see if that does anything for me. All right, so Let's end the stream there on Rockfin and see if it cleans up for me. Maybe that's it. I hope it's not, because I love streaming on Rockfin, but there it goes. Over on the fin, and we're going to just get out of there, but it doesn't look like it's going to help. We'll see.
Good evening and welcome to Tucker Carlson tonight. The Chinese coronavirus epidemic turns out to be just that, an epidemic. There's no denying that now. According to the official count, this country has recorded more than 500 cases of the virus and suffered at least 24 deaths. The real number is without question far higher than that. Soon we will have a better sense of just how much higher.
So right out of the gates, he's being honest with you. Listen, the body count and the infections are higher across the board, and all governments have tried to manage the numbers. And that's a reality everybody should have, right? And I do like the fact that South Korea, for instance, has probably the best the best percentage, I think somewhere between 0.4 to 0.6 lethality on this, because they're testing everybody in large swaths of populations, which is smart, right?
By then, this epidemic will have caused economic damage whose effects may dog us for years. People you know will get sick. Some may die. This is real. That's the point of this script, to tell you that. You'll be forgiven if the whole thing snuck up on you as if from nowhere. An obscure virus arising from a meat market in eastern China to sicken American citizens in Oregon, in New Hampshire, in Illinois, in Midtown Manhattan. It sounds ridiculous. Nor have our leaders helped us to take it seriously.
I mean, again, if there's another mainstream person out here talking about how ridiculous the mainstream version of events that was sold to us from the very beginning about a market, etc., show them to me, because I'm really not seeing that, in the arena.
On the left, you've heard them tell you that the real worry is that you might use the wrong word to describe what's happening to the country. It's racist, they're telling you, to blame the most racist nation in the world for the spread of this virus. Right. Meanwhile, if we're being honest, the other side has not been especially helpful either. People you trust, people you probably voted for, have spent weeks minimizing what is clearly a very serious problem. It's just partisan politics, they say. Calm down.
So let's stop. Again, show me anybody that's been this big of a supporter. Not even InfoWars is going as far as Tucker Carlson here at all. At all. Not on this issue. He's not telling the truth. I tweeted that out. And now's the time to start telling the truth to everybody. All right? Now's the time to tell you when you can have mass testing of large-scale populations. Because, again, think about it. All right, so here's the thing. They're telling you that this can last for how long, right? That they can this could be on the surface for, 14, 21-day incubation period. But then they didn't test the kid coming back from Italy. And that even though the family's in self-quarantine and, the husband's away, how do we even know they ever had it or if they had it? Shouldn't we know? Shouldn't we know what the mortality rate is? I think that's important. But those are things that, again, don't seem to be anyone's objective.
In the end, this is just like the flu, and people die from that every year. Coronavirus will pass, and when it does, we will feel foolish for worrying about it. That's their position. No doubt these people have good intentions, as they say this, many of them anyway. They may not know any better. Maybe they're just not paying attention. Or
they're regurgitating the lies of the predator class, of the managed media, of the CDC, of the World Health Organization, of basically the military-industrial complex management mouthpieces. That's why every day, Cuomo gets up there and he's smiling, he's talking about how great the hand sanitizer is, and he's saying, well, everything could change every day. He's like, we're going to do these every day. And, as soon as the CDC and the WHO, as soon as they recommend something, we take action. All right? So it's a matter of time now before we get that executive action. Because, again, Trump is also, slowly but surely, daily now doing these press conferences. We'll see if we get one today. We haven't so far. But, again, the idea that they're cutting a deal to what? Pay people that don't go to work.
Maybe they believe they're serving some higher cause by shading reality. Nobody wants to be manipulated by a corrupt media establishment, and it is corrupt. And there's an election coming up. Best not to say anything that might help the other side. We get it. But they're wrong. The Chinese coronavirus is a major event. It will affect your life. And by the way, it's definitely not just the flu. In a typical year, the flu in this country has a mortality rate of about 1 in 1,000. The overall death rate for this virus, by contrast, is as high as 3.4%. That's 34 times deadlier.
And let's say, again, we don't know it's that high, but we don't know what strains we're talking about. We don't know if we're talking about 1 or 2 strains at all. And unless, once again, because South Korea could be right. But the bottom line is, no matter how deadly this is, as I've been trying to warn people, the reaction to it is extremely real.
But even that number masks the true effect because the mortality is not distributed evenly. For those aged 70 to 79, the death rate is about 8%. For those over 80, it's nearly 15%. Death rates are also higher for those with diabetes, respiratory ailments, or heart conditions. That's a lot of people.
Especially in the United States. There are so many diabetics here. Fat Boy's asking, why do you think Italy is being hit so hard? I think it's because, again, just geographically where it is, and I think that they mismanaged it as well. Listen, if this thing is a bioweapon, we really don't know the distribution system, at least for the initial thing. I mean, that's a fact. And, again, thank you, Tucker Carlson, for pointing out how ridiculous the idea that this comes from a meat market, etc. Once again, downplayed in the media is they were going to destroy the Wuhan market. I believe they may have by now, right? But they found a family of 4 in there, and they all tested negative. Keith Rogers, thank you so much for the super chat. Staying safe in Alabama. Thanks for all your hard work. I really appreciate that, Keith. I really, really do. So let's continue with Tucker. Because, again, you got to give the guy credit. Thumbs up.
So what will things look like once the epidemic matures in America? Well, for answers, consider what's happening in Italy. Italy isn't authoritarian like China, and it's not backward like Iran. It is a modern, developed Western country, in many ways like our country. As of tonight, coronavirus has brought Italy to a standstill. The prime minister has suspended all travel throughout the country, unless it's for work, health, or emergencies. All museums and archaeological sites are closed. All public gatherings have been banned.
Now, let's stop that. The infrastructure is already in place where a lot of these people are now telecommunicating. It's already happening, all right? They're teleworking or internet working, whatever you want to call it. They're not showing up to work. I've already told you how the infrastructure is there for teachers. I've already explained to you that most of these schools will end their semesters online. I mean, this is a real thing. Look at Italy. Why does anybody think that we'd be any different than Italy? And even if you look at Japan, Japan closed schools precautionary for 1 month. Now, maybe because Japan pulled the trigger at the right time, they open in a month. But a lot of people who think that this 1 week suspension of each school is going to work, that's ridiculous in a state like New York. And they know that. They're waiting for the infrastructure to come in so that they can do mass quarantines. If you are in New York City, please get out. Get out now, because you don't know how quick it's going to move. Ian Odell, I was in central London today. Here's £1 for every face mask that I saw, and that was 6. And you're going to see more and more face masks. We got another super chat. Anthony Zappin says, stay safe, bro. Thank you for your hard work and keeping us informed with the facts. I appreciate that. Because, again, this isn't about me hyping things up, guys. And if you do want to support me, I got the GoFundMe. Again, I got to pay my rent. I know you guys do too. But that's the next thing. They put into place 2-3 weeks ago, and I covered it, a way to suspend the stock market. And then they pulled it on Monday. They stopped it for 15 minutes from 9:34 to 9:49. Okay, that means they also have a plan to stop the stock market altogether. Forget about a crash, but they might close the doors on it and then reopen whenever they can manage it. Can you imagine what those 15 minutes of phone calls were like before they reopened it? My goodness. I mean, that's the real deal. That's not like made up. So let's continue on. If you do want to support me, that's where it's at, guys. Thank you so much for that. So let's continue with Tucker. Still, the one guy that's telling the truth, at least a good portion of it, and I commend him for that.
Sporting events are now canceled entirely for the first time since the Second World War. In effect, the entire country is locked down tonight. Over the weekend, prisoners rioted, causing several deaths. Italy is now suffering almost 100 casualties, people who've died every day from the virus. That's far worse than here. But the only difference likely is time. Early evidence suggests it takes about 6 days for the number of coronavirus cases to double. If that trend holds here in the United States, it will be just a few weeks until we are where Italy is now.
So let's stop. And that's true. And people who are in denial about that and the fact they've shut down all sporting events, it's over. It's over. Once you shut down South by Southwest, once St. Patrick's Day is shut down. I mean, this is the tumble effect. I kept telling you, first it was Slipknot's Knot Fest, then it was South by Southwest, then Coachella, is going to wait till October. They're going to wait till October to do it. I mean, again, guys, this is the real deal. So I wasn't trying to fearmonger when I told you to get supplies. I'm still not trying to fearmonger to tell you that you don't want to be in big city areas. All right. And I'm also going to tell you that since the outbreaks are going to happen at old folks' homes, the worst and first, as he told you, now is the time to get your loved one out if you can. I mean, I don't think that's hysterical. And I know that I have a little bit better of a candor today, but this is not the type of stuff I love reporting on. I hate it.
In a few months, if nothing stops the virus, there will be millions of cases here. This is bad more than simply for physical health. The Dow Jones average fell more than 2,000 points today. That's a decline of more than 7.5%. It was the market's worst day since the 2008 financial crisis. It was the fourth worst day since the Great Depression. Grant Thornton, a major accounting firm, is predicting a global recession due to this epidemic.
Let's just stop that there. So again, with Trump signing a bill basically cutting payroll taxes, all right, an executive payroll tax cut, and then being able to start a program where he's going to pay off people, they artificially brought that back up 1,000 points today. Today is Tuesday. The same trend of up and down you're going to see throughout the week. And at the very end of the week, depending on where we're at, they may try to save the market. Or, now we may be seeing, suspended times that the market is even open. I know that sounds scary, guys, but it's not me saying this. All right? It's everybody that's telling you what's going on and saying this could happen. We're preparing for this, and we could take action here, and this is our executive action that we have a plan for. That means they can't do it all at once. We don't have the infrastructure for that. All right, it's being done slowly. Cornholy 69 says, "Keep up the good work. Keep up the good reporting, Jason. More people need to hear what you're reporting on. Your local Ginger, Gibson." Oh, my man. Listen, Gibson, again, I'm going to say it. Confirmed case, Fox Hospital, Friday night. They don't want to test people because they don't want to alarm them. And again, the idea that, Skidmore's stopping. So in other words, you have one confirmed case from SUNY Oneonta. You tell them not to come back. And listen, ultimately, if this does get out of control, our hospitals are already pretty much overrun here. The Bassett, the Fox, there's a Bassett in Cooperstown. There's a large-scale older population here. Where will they hold the very sick older people? You see what happened in Kirkland. It was a disaster. They'll probably quarantine them in buildings on campus. I mean, I hate to say that, but that's more than likely what will be used. And that's not, that I don't think that's conspiracy theory. So let's continue with Tucker.
And very low growth, if any, here in the United States. If a recession does hit, it will not be so simple to fight it. The usual stimulus efforts, tax cuts and lower rates, won't reopen factories that have shut down to contain a virus. It won't get people to eat at closed restaurants or shop in closed malls or attend canceled sporting events. We're going to have a demand problem in this economy, and that's a big deal. In other words, our country is likely to experience a painful period we are powerless to stop. None of this is justification to panic. You shouldn't panic. In crisis, it's more important than ever to be calm. But staying calm is not the same as remaining complacent. It does not mean assuring people that everything will be fine.
Thank you. And again, show me one mainstream media outlet that's taking this approach, that's not trying to scare you in a way and not trying to hype a headline and then protect you from the real information, but saying, hey, have a plan. That's all. And I hope my man Gibson has a plan. I hope you're talking to Travis. Obviously, I got my family here. And I was telling my boy earlier that if, I had $20,000 in the bank and my family wasn't here, what would I do? I'd probably get on a plane to Alaska, find somewhere with decent internet in like a rural area, and I'd be broadcasting from out of there, just as far away from this as possible, because I don't like where it's going. Eventually, let's say 2 to 3 months, Italy style, because we don't know when Italy is going to be done, right? 2 to 3 months, the kind of mandatory quarantine where you got to stay in your house. The only people that are allowed to leave are the ones that work, in the internet, banking, got to be on the site, or, obviously power plants, some kind of manufacturing, et cetera, those things. There'll be checkpoints with local police, with National Guard. That's why National Guard's really being deployed to New Rochelle. It'll be first, they're giving you food, but then all that type of stuff. All right? And let's say that all ends in 2 to 3 months, right? Like a best case scenario, that's where I'm at right now, ends 2 to 3 months. They could try to force you into a vaccine. They will use the fear of this virus mutating over and over again. You will hear about it more and more. I mean, that's why this is going to be the new generation's 9/11. It's like a combination of the stock market crash and 9/11 over a slow rollout, only it's global. More reason to institute global governance. All those things come out of this. The checklist is real, that me and Corbett talked about. And God bless James Corbett for continuing to do a great work on this.
We don't know that. Instead, it's better to tell the truth. That is always the surest sign of strength. As they level with us, our leaders ought to prepare the public for what may come next. If a recession is coming, we need to save money for the possible effect of that. If travel restrictions are coming, we should know that too. Already, the nonstop Acela train service between New York and Washington, which is critical to a lot of people, has been suspended. The Indian Wells tennis tournament in California, one of the largest in the world, has been canceled for this year. The March Madness basketball tournament is supposed to start in a couple of weeks, but it could be held in front of empty stands or postponed or canceled as well.
And how could you not postpone or cancel it if you're not going to pre-test everybody that's playing? Say you did play in empty stadiums. Wouldn't each athlete have to test negative? Would you put them on another court with athletes where you're sweating, breathing, and touching one another? It's not a handshake. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on. Like, what's common sense here at this point? And I don't like quarantines, and I don't want these things. I'm just letting you know what's about to happen, because that's realistic. Travel restrictions in this country will probably be on a level like we haven't seen since 9/11. These are facts. I mean, that is and again, day by day, it gets ramped up in these localized areas. And remember, they're not telling you how many people have tested overall yet. In a while, it's been, I think the last time we heard it was 1,400. And then we had, 1,400, 600 cases. Now I think there's over 1,000 cases in the United States and well over 2,000, maybe even 4,000 tests. I'd have to look up the latest numbers. But they're not testing a lot of people that have been exposed to this or supposedly are already taking the precautionary quarantines.
In the end, you may be given the option to work from home, but eventually may be ordered to do that. You should know. We should also focus on preparing our healthcare system for the worst. The time of containing coronavirus with widespread testing and individual quarantines, blocking the borders. Useful, but that time is over.
Thank you.
Too many cases here now. We cannot stop this epidemic. We can only limit the damage that it does. Now is also the time to start looking ahead to the future. Think about what it would mean to face a deadlier version of coronavirus.
And now, a lot of people would accuse him of fear-mongering here, but I don't think he is. Basically, what he's not talking about is the supply chain on all these medical supplies is already broken. So we don't really know what the mortality rate might be on people that have these quote-unquote pre-existing conditions or aren't, feeling well together or already have a compromised immune system, all that stuff, because they may not have access to their medicine. When we're talking about price gouging, I was warning you about food. I was warning you about toilet paper, essentials. But now we're talking about actual medication.
It's not unimaginable. It's very easy to imagine. Are we ready for that? We're not ready now. We ought to be. One of the first things we can do to prepare ourselves is break our dependence on China for essential medical supplies. Last week, China's official news service published a piece gloating that the country has brought coronavirus under control. The story claims the rest of the world should apologize to China for criticizing the country over the virus, and then drops this not very subtle warning, quote, if China retaliates against the United States at this time, in addition to announcing a travel ban on the United States, it will also announce strategic control over medical products and ban exports to the United States.
See, right here is a good time for you to learn about what sanctions do. When they talk about sanctions, these are the type of essentials that we lock out of other countries. So then people die, and it's really an act of war. And now, a lot of people might get this because it's some kind of war by China to us. But the United States does this on the regular. Okay, that's a reality that nobody wants to talk about either. Got another super chat. Jason, I love your analysis. Your ability to recall information is shockingly good. Thank you so much. You have a good point. Thanks for your diligent efforts in getting the news to us. I really appreciate that super chat, guys. I really, really do. So let's continue on, okay?
If China announces that its drugs are for domestic use and bans exports, the United States will fall into the hell of a new coronavirus epidemic, unquote. In other words, they're threatening to kill us. And that's not an empty threat. We really are that dependent on China for masks and medical equipment, for basic medicines, for pharmaceuticals of all kinds.
For pharmaceuticals of all kinds. And they've made this country dependent on those, what? Pharmaceuticals.
It is shocking to wake up one morning and find ourselves in this supine position, dependent on a country that hates us. The people who did it, who made us this dependent on a hostile foreign power, deserve to be punished for what they did. That won't happen, probably, but at least we can try to fix the damage they caused, and there's a lot of it. The Chinese coronavirus will get worse. Its effects will be far more disruptive than they are right now. That is not a guess. It is inevitable, no matter what they're telling you.
Again, what mainstream outlet, what pundit is saying that? I've had my issues with Tucker in the past, whatever. I don't have to agree with him all the time. That is the one guy in the mainstream media that is shooting as straight as I think you possibly could being on television every day. All right, so before I go through the questions, all right, we're gonna try to at least play this Cuomo thing now that we unlocked, okay? Let's go.
New Rochelle is a particular problem. It is what they call a cluster. The numbers have been going up. The numbers continue to go up. The numbers are going up unabated. And we do need a special public health strategy for New Rochelle. What we are going to do is focus on an area, concentric circle, around the situs of the majority of the cases in New Rochelle.
So again, this is, the start of actual military quarantines. Let's not act like it's anything else. And I'm sorry if you're not ready to hear that. But this is the beginning, I'm going to say it again, of actual military quarantines in New York. And if you saw where it was before that, where is it? Where are they starting? They're starting at the edge of where people can get out, the bottleneck. All right? All right, so no matter what you believe and why they're there, the military is now there to aid. They're your friends. And listen, again, all you Army Reserve, all you, combat soldiers coming back over, because I think this is going to extend past the National Guard. Remember who we are. Remember we're human beings. All right? Because in panic situations, you just don't know what's going to happen. Let's continue.
Much of the transmission tends to happen on a geographic basis. Kids go to school, kids go to a store, parents go to a store, parents walk down the block, shake hands with someone, parent is walking the dog, meets somebody, says hello, has a conversation. Remember how this spreads. It can spread from it's a respiratory illness, droplets of a sneeze, a cough, it's on somebody's hand, you shake hands, now you have an issue. So containment strategies focus on geographic areas. Commissioner Zucker has been working on this. This is the single greatest public health challenge we have in the state right now.
Let me stop there. That is a lie. That is the single greatest area where they've tested people and have a concentration of the virus. That's what that translates to, okay? They don't know where the other concentrated areas are because they haven't tested people. All right? I want to explain this to people. Where are we at? Right here. That when you look in the beginning where this is, it is in the containment zone of New York City and Long Island. Make no mistake about that. And again, if you're not mature enough to understand why the outbreak is here and not amongst the city or not amongst the rest of New York, they are purposely making that the area where they can start deploying military. They will quarantine New York City. I am telling you this, and I am begging everybody who lives there or has loved ones there to have a plan and probably get out if they can. All right? Because big cities are going to be the worst place to be for this.
Somebody's hand, you shake hands, now you have an issue. So containment strategies focus on geographic areas. Commissioner Zucker has been working on this. This is the single greatest public health challenge we have in the state right now. And coming up with a special strategy to deal with this has been his focus. He has recommended a plan to me. I have accepted the plan, which will deal with this containment area, and the commissioner will speak to it in a moment. One of the things we're doing is we're putting a satellite testing facility from Northwell into New Rochelle. So they will set up a facility within that containment area that can do testing. Northwell received approval last night for their automated testing capacity, which increases Northwell's capacity to test. We had been waiting for the CDC to do that. The CDC approved that. Northwell will open up a temporary satellite facility so they can do testing right in that area.
So once again, let's stop and think about this. At the cusp of where the city is where the military is setting up and the first satellite testing facility, and there will be many of these, is being set up. That's the reality. No matter what you believe about this thing and how deadly it is and what it is, it's all moot. This is the reaction. This is the slow boil. I'm going to tell you again. This will be the norm. New York, Washington State, California, and Florida will be the first.
Even testing is a problem, right? Somebody gets in a cab to go to the hospital. Now you possibly affect the cab driver. Somebody gets on a bus. Now the person is on a bus. So this is a major advantage. We're also going to use the National Guard in the containment area to deliver food to homes, to help with the cleaning of public spaces. There is a debate about how long the virus can live on hard surfaces. So
let's see what these guys are wearing. I mean, again, we don't know yet. The deployment will be there. Those in New Rochelle, hopefully are not going to be locked out of their internet. I don't even know what the movement is going to be there. They haven't really described that. I haven't seen the whole thing. I was only able to watch this clip. I have to watch the whole thing, but obviously this should concern everybody. Benjamin G. responded to PRC and quoting LTD Hangout, Limited Hangout, Tucker. Let's keep distinguishing the Chinese people from their own predatory masters. Love your work, man. Yeah, no, I get exactly. It's like when we talk about America. When I say we do that, sanctions to people, I don't mean I want sanctions on other countries. Talking about the good old USA. All right? So let's continue right here. Let's continue. And then we're going to get to the questions, guys. I know I've only taken super chats.
And you have differing opinions now. Some opinions are the virus can live on a hard surface such as stainless steel or plastic for 2 days or more. If that's the case, that would be a significant issue as to why it is transmitting the way it does. So cleaning those surfaces is very important, cleaning it with the right material.
So there you go. I mean, again, you saw it, guys. So let's do it. Let's get to the questions. Let's bring this down just a wee bit. Bam, perfect. All right, this is the first question I got. Remember, I'll take all super chats. I don't know about the genome published. My opinion, we might do what who's saying. I don't know what that means. I heard Bill Gates own a lab in China where the virus was made. Elderberry syrup might help you too. More people died in car crashes today in America. Mel Chapman, it's not about the death rate right now. It's about the response. I don't understand why people can't understand what I'm trying to tell them. Things will close. The economic impact is real. It doesn't matter what you believe about the virus itself. Thank you. Let's see. Same old playback over and over. So glad people are waking up. In Canada, you can get vitamin C from pine needles. Cures scurvy. They're talking about those studies that are intravenous, but they take like 4 hours of massive amounts of vitamin C. All right? So buy our hand sanitizer. Yes, hand sanitizer sounds great. Try liposomol vitamin C. It is much more powerful. Tucker made the real deal with them. Listen, he's again, show me another mainstream outlet that said half of what Tucker said. A third of what Tucker just said. So hate all you want, but that's as real as it gets right there. Okay? That's as real as it gets. Let's see. Yep, I have been for 20 years. I have seizures. Yeesh. So he's got a pre-existing condition. I'm sorry to hear that, brother. Let's see. This is the model. Pay attention. This will reveal how it will go. Yep, all antibiotics also. I wouldn't take antibiotics. The virus often causes such damage, you get bacterial co-infections like bacterial pneumonia. All antibiotics are made in China. Oh, you're talking about those. Yeah, the thing is that sometimes antibiotics can lower the rest of your immune system. It seems to be that you want a high immune system. You want to be active. You don't want to be sick. If you do get a fever, you want to heat it off. You don't want to just start taking acetaminophen and all those other things. Again, there's the one guy, I don't know if it's any true, he did the hot toddies after he was diagnosed with COVID-19 in China from the UK. A hot toddy is hot whiskey and organic honey. There's Bill Gates owns the mosquitoes. I know about those genetically modified mosquitoes, kind of scary. Let's see. War times were screwed. Washington think tanks, thanks. I guess those intelligent, well-educated aren't so smart. Fun how all of a sudden we get our drugs from China, not Switzerland, India, and the U.S. New Rochelle is a nice area. I know it is. Do you know about Event 201? Bill Gates is behind it. We've talked about Event 201 and how it being eerily similar to what is going on here. By the way, thumbs this video up. Again, guys, if you really want to support me, like I said, I still got bills, and you can support me over at the GoFundMe. In fact, I'm going to put it in the chat right now as we go down the line. 5, 10, 15 bucks. It means the world to me. Big donors, please hit me up. I'm trying to, again, I feel like this is probably also one of my most balanced reports in some time. Why? Because, it's important to put out the facts, but when you're starting to accept what's going on a little bit, it's easier for me to put it out without excitement. And I'm not trying to get you excited. I just want everybody out there to have a plan and talk to their loved ones about this in a real way. Hegelian dialectic and nothing else. Let's see. What do we got here? You can tell the governor has no clue how to handle this. He's just being told what to say. He's a politician. He's Cuomo. They're gangster family. They're the real gangsters. Genome shows genetically modified organisms along with the same delivery as HIV. Yes, the Lancet study. We've also discussed that. Get on your knees and pray. I mean, if you're a religious person, maybe that's the time to do it, I'd certainly say this. It's good to think outside of this, enjoy yourself, have fun, bask in what you have now, all those things. I think that's really important for your mental state. We need to take back to square one and start doing good business with each other again like it once was. We started ripping each other off for some reason. Real estate. Buy Scotch whiskey all night long. Confused why people have seen your other documentaries are so surprised by this. Again, I've done a lot of those documentaries 15 years ago now. We're talking about my last documentary being 7 years old. A lot of people aren't really familiar with my documentary films. A lot of them don't check it out from this place, which they should. If you are under quarantine, where would you go anyways? Well, I'm not under quarantine. Exactly. Where? Well, here's the deal. They got to keep the infrastructure going. So the internet's got to be up. Those people get to go to work as long as they're going to test negative or they're not showing signs, et cetera, et cetera. Hospitals will have to keep running. What else will have to keep running? Electricity will have to keep running. There's so much stuff. All right? Dr. Facts. Scott Bailey says, who else remembers the opening scenes of I Am Legend? Yes, and then the vaccine saves everybody. And listen, I'm not worried about the zombie apocalypse, but I certainly don't want some kind of vaccine. Elderberry causes a cytokines storm with this virus, which isn't good. Careful using it. I didn't talk about elderberry, other than reading what someone else said. I hear you, bro, LOL. That was a good one, par LOL. Stop freaking out. This will more than likely blow over the way Ebola did a few years ago. Travis Rhodes, are you not paying attention? Ebola caused none of this. There were not shutdowns of entire countries, of first world countries like Italy. There were not military on the streets in New York and other places. Like, get a grip, my man. Shit is starting to look like Jade Helm. Yes, I remember, Scott. The U.S. government can dispatch army on its own people, but they can't engage the National Guard. The active ingredients of 90% of all drugs are made there or India, and they stopped all drug exports yesterday. Interesting. Most places affected in America are controlled. Oh, Mel Chapman, are you an idiot? Yes, you are an idiot for saying such things. You are a partisan idiot. Listen, get beyond the left-right paradigm, big guy. This isn't a plot against Trump. This isn't the left doing this. It's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. Was a bridge destroyed? I don't know what you're talking about. If you are scared, go to church. I receive God and I am thy own temple. Hope my kratom doesn't come with that COVID-19. Jenny, you're a fearmonger. Chaga tea works great for any virus. Just research it. I have heard Chaga tea is good. Let's see. And human beings could overthrow these pricks if we wanted. I mean, it's going to be, listen, human beings are going to entrap other human beings. Human beings have enslaved people for years. In fact, think about this. There's so many people out there. You're so mad at slavery in this country. Slavery goes on in 2020. Those Nike goods, all that stuff, right now is currently being produced by actual slaves that were moved in by the Chinese government that we're dependent on. That's happening now. It's not debatable Chinese slaves that they have, suicide nets for at Foxconn. I mean, it is Foxconn now. It's the actual ones they had in prison camps. And remember that hand sanitizer, that funny guy Cuomo, that's being contracted by human prisoners here in the United States. The worst damage will be done by civil unrest and the need to put it down. I mean, we got a lot going on. The economy maybe, too. Ebola was a bioweapon, too. Very, very possible. Big zitties vote Democrat. You guys are morons. The worst damage will be done by civil... Posse Comitatus also exists in Canada. Yep. You're on Agenda 21 highway. Only one exit. SARS is also a bioweapon. The time for being civil is over. Okay? What? Hitters sound about right. I don't know what that means. Blue Man, I believe this is a bioweapon also. To be nice, Jenny, blah, blah, blah. All right, guys. I think I'm gonna wrap it up. I'm sorry, obviously, I only got to a limited amount of questions. I want to thank everybody for joining me. Obviously, I'm going to continue to do these updates as things progress, and I hope they don't progress too rapidly, but we're seeing it. $5, $10, $15, it means the world to me. Big donors, I'm reaching out to you. Please, I'm trying to do this 3 to 7 times a day on subjects that matter. Corey Feldman did premiere his documentary at the theater last night, and I have talked to Gary Franchi of Next News Network, who attended it, and he should be joining me sometime later this evening, and we're going to go over his review. He said the film was phenomenal, so I think that's important. We're going to do that. Remember, I got the Rockfin. I'm trying to get that Gavin McInnes thing up today. So much going on in my life right now, guys, but I'm going to continue to post here. You can support me on Rockfin as well. I am a documentary filmmaker. Loose Change, Final Cut, Fabled Enemies, Invisible Empire, A New World Order Defined, and Shade the Motion Picture are available for free right here. And you can follow me at Jason Burmis, where I am just posting a lot of mainstream stuff that I'm not even going over on video regarding the coronavirus. So if you're interested in what's really going down, that's what you definitely want to check into. Guys, I love you guys. Have a plan. Be prepared. I'm going to shoot straight. So that's how I do it. Love you.